and I welcome you to Collaborative Chats today. I have the pleasure, absolute pleasure, of speaking to Andrea Vacca. Vacca is of the Vacca family, the Vacca Law Group.
Vacca Family Law Group.
The Vacca Family Law Group, and you are a founding partner, and you are the partner and principal of that firm. And have been for how long is that for? How long have you been around, Andrea? How long
We
has
just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's pretty awesome. And Andrea also has been very, very involved in the NYCP community as being a past president and board member of many years and has done amazing contributions to the growth of NYCP. So we're so grateful for her involvement, and really it's just an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks, Melissa. I'm really happy to be talking to you.
So, Andrea, I would like to start out with, tell me a little bit about, where you grew up, a little bit about your family.
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island. We lived in a number of different towns, but ended up going to middle school, junior high, and high school in Smithtown. So I say I grew up in Smithtown. And as soon as I could, I left. Went to school in Buffalo, and then Albany Law School. So I spent like 16 years upstate New York. So, Long Island was great to grow up, but, I was looking forward to leaving there.
I felt the same way. I grew up in Plainview. I could not wait to leave the island. It was a great place to grow up. So I totally get it.
So I'm the oldest of four, and it's interesting, when I remember my first board meeting in, I think it was 2009 or something. We went around, we had a board retreat, and everyone went around the room and said where they fell in birth order. And I think there were, I don't know, let's say there were 13 board members, 12 of us were firstborns. It was
really,
and the one who wasn't a firstborn said, "But I'm like the firstborn in my family."
That's so interesting. Wow.
So I am the oldest of four parents. My parents did get divorced when I was in college. And right as I was graduating from college, their divorce was becoming final. So, I was a kind of an adult child of divorce, on the border of child and adult. So,
so that's really, I guess, that sensibility of going through that experience really kind of, you tap into that, I'm sure, in your work today.
Definitely. Why I was interested in divorce and family, matrimonial law in law school, and why I practiced it my entire 30-something, 3 years now, or 32 years. Yes, I've been practicing.
Wow, so that was a driving force as to where your passion came for this work. Can you speak about what did you hope to accomplish by going into this area?
Well, at first, I thought I wanted to litigate, and I wanted to work with families, kind of voyeuristic to see what was going on in other people's families, I think. And during law school, I was on the moot court team, and I thought I'd be a traditional divorce attorney, balancing litigation and divorce and, working with families. And then I realized, I don't know, 7 or so years in, I really didn't like being a family law attorney. But then I realized eventually that it was because I didn't like litigating. I love to advocate, but I don't love to fight. So litigation just wasn't a good fit for me. And I didn't realize until later that it was the advocacy that drew me in.
Really? So how did you find out about collaborative process?
I was the secretary of the matrimonial law committee of the New York City Bar Association, and we had speakers there that day, and one of them was a current member, one's a former member, former president, who came to speak to our committee about collaborative divorce. I'd never heard of it. But Melissa, I was at the end of this long table, like with 30 attorneys sitting around it. And I was at one end because I was the secretary of the committee, and they were like standing behind me talking. And it was like a light shined down on this table in front of me and showed me this path I didn't even know existed. And I looked around the room at all these other 30 other, divorce attorneys, and everyone was like so bored, not really getting it. But for me, it was life changing about this process.
Wow, that
Yeah.
connection, that light that went off, that must have been so fulfilling to know and hopefulness to say, hey, I think I found it. This is where my path is.
That's what it
Wow.
was. It was like, we attorneys can work this way together. How do I do this? So that was 2004. I opened my law firm shortly after that, and then it took 2 to 3 years to get all the training I needed. Mediation. I wasn't a mediator at the time. I
Wow.
had never even thought about mediating, so
Really?
I had to
Wow.
get all the training in, and then I became a collaborative lawyer.
So were there role models as you were kind of entering the field that you were able to lean into, when to kind of reach out to help with this new kind of trajectory that you were on?
No, I really didn't know anyone else doing this except for the two people. One
Really?
became my mentor once I joined NYACP, but I did it all on my own. I don't know. I've never been great at reaching out to other people to ask for help. So I just did it myself. And
Wow. Well, listen, you're pretty tremendous because your firm is pretty stellar and such a really great resource and support for those that are going through really probably the most difficult traumatic time that a family can go through. And also just from your experience as a child or an adult child of divorce to see how your parents kind of made it through and what, you know, things to avoid or things, how could you make it better? How could that experience be a better one or an outcome a better one?
yeah, I really draw on that now as a collaborative lawyer, using my parents' divorce and the after effects of their divorce as an example of what not to do and
Right.
why you don't want to do it that way. And I'm happy to share a little bit about that if you'd like to hear more about it. But
I'm very curious because I think it really does inform your sensibility and your approach. Like, what's your perspective that you bring to the table? And you're all in a service organization. You're in a service and you want to help. So,
yeah,
can you share a little bit if you can?
sure. So, my parents were very unhappily married. I knew that, since I was a young teenager. And it took about 10 years from that point of me realizing how unhappy they were to get divorced. And once they got divorced, it looked on the outside like they had a good agreement. My mother kept the business, my father kept the homes.
Mm.
Um, they shared custody of my brother, who was the only minor at the time. It, it looked on paper, it looked good, but my father didn't talk to my mother for 10 years after that divorce.
Oh my gosh.
10 years. So we were put in the middle of this, very dysfunctional relationship between them. He wouldn't be in photos with my mother at my sister's wedding. It was, where would they be seated at event? It was horrible. I realized later, I found something after my father passed away, a list, a big legal pad, where he apparently had answered all the questions that my mother had to allege against him. This was in the 1980s. You had to prove fault. So even
Right.
though they never went to court, she was told to write down every terrible thing this man ever did to you or didn't do in your marriage. And then my father had to answer those allegations, right? Well, I found that pad where he answered those allegations. So I never saw what she alleged, but I can see what she apparently alleged. And I realized that how you divorce matters.
Wow.
Having to prove, alleged terrible things against the other person, having to answer them, having to receive something, saying all the things you did or didn't do in your marriage, this has a lasting effect on people. And when we practice collaboratively, we're not asking people to dig up the past.
Mm.
We're not asking them to tell us why someone's not a good father or why they're not a good provider or what. We're asking them what can be good? What does the future look like? Let's look forward. And so my father was, emotionally not well or healthy, I guess. He couldn't
Right.
handle it.
Right.
He had to shut her out completely. So not everybody goes to that extreme, but there's that risk of that traditional divorce, even though we have no fault divorce anymore. Traditional
Right.
divorce will ask you to think about all the terrible things anyone ever did to you.
Right.
And that's why I love practicing this way and having a non-adversarial firm, because we're only looking at, we're trying to find what was good in the past that we can build upon. Where are
Right.
your strengths as a couple, as parents, as as a economic partnership? What did you do well? And that's what we're going to create your new future from.
That's right. And to have a voice and to say, this is what matters to me, and this is what's important to me, and this is what I hope for, and this is what I worry about. And to have that space, that safe one to voice it. Because your dad had that legal pad, no one saw this, but you did, and can you imagine if that was actually voiced and been able to be responded to and have a conversation, and maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different.
Yeah, it was 16 pages of handwritten.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
Wow. That's profound.
I don't know
Wow.
what his lawyer did with it because he had died by then. I don't know if his lawyer turned it into a
Right.
legal document. I don't know. But all I know is that how you divorce matters,
It
you know,
does. It
and
does. Yeah,
because there's long lasting effects. It's not just about the outcome of your agreement.
it isn't. And it's intergenerationally. The impact is very widespread,
That's right.
wide ranging.
Exactly.
In terms of just relationships, and that's really, what we're looking at. We're looking at, what kind of relationship do you want? What kind of future, for yourself? Do you have like a best relationship or a relationship that you kind of lean on that helps? Because the work that we do, Andrea, is really hard. Is really
Yeah.
hard. And it's nice having that support, you
Yeah, I'm
know.
really lucky, Melissa. I didn't, because I was a divorce attorney, I didn't get married until I was 42. So I skipped my starter marriage. I was engaged at one point. I had many relationships, but never found the person I wanted to marry until I did. And
Wow.
similar to hearing about collaborative divorce, when I met my husband, it was like, oh, there you are. Oh, I
Right?
know. Like immediately I knew.
Wow.
So I met him
Wow.
when I was 40, and I'm 60 now. So we've been together 20 years, and I'm very,
Wow.
very, I'm so lucky. And I found a wonderful man, and it was worth the wait. And he's so supportive and kind. And one of you asked me like, what's your favorite dish to cook? I don't need to
Yeah.
cook. He loves to cook. So
He loves to cook. What's his favorite dish? What do you like that he cooks?
yeah, everything. He never does anything twice. He's very creative.
He
He
doesn't do
doesn't follow
anything twice.
recipes. He thinks about things and then he'll put things together. And so I'm like, you should repeat this one, but he never repeats
Never.
any.
What's a favorite one that most recently that you really enjoyed?
Um, oh my God. So he'll just, it's really simple. Like he'll take a piece of fish and different vegetables, but he'll always
Yeah,
spice it differently. Or he
that's
loves,
amazing.
like, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
So he
So
seems like a really creative, explores, and you're just really and very talented in that way, and you enjoy it. And that's like food is his love language, it's part of it, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
that's great. In terms of you know, in terms of prepare, it's interesting that this is 20 years you were married, 20 years of your firm, right? You had this like whole new chapter
Yeah.
beginning, later in your life, and this is the path that you're on, and it seems like it's been so satisfying and fulfilling, and that's like amazing. Some people never get that, so there's probably, that's fantastic. In
Hmm.
terms of your younger self, though, when you were in your 30s and or 20s and not knowing, what would you tell yourself, in that time, knowing now what you know? Is there something that you would tell your younger self to prepare for the career ahead?
Yeah, and one thing I still struggle with is find a mentor. Ask
Mm,
for help.
that's
I
for help.
wish I had done that, and I would tell
Yeah,
my younger self to do that. Being independent is good, but there are
that,
people there who can and will help you, and try to find those people. I think I would be much further along if I had done
yeah.
that.
I get it though. Sometimes that's hard to ask, and but the benefit is pretty significant. It can be really life changing in that way.
Definitely.
In terms of like the NYCP, is there a most memorable experience that you have with our organization? You've been really in our organization for a long time. I mean, it seems like you did your training back when? Was it 2000 and when did you do your?
I did my training in 2006 and joined
Yeah,
as soon as I could. So I've been, and then a couple of years later, joined the board. I think I was
yeah.
on the board for 12, 13, I don't know, long
For a
time.
very long time. And you did such tremendous things for organization, even just transforming, having a management group helping us lead our organization, really did really amazing, doing retreats. I was on it and shared being on the board with you, and you were just really an innovative leader, and really it was really tremendous. Your imprint still remains. And so we really a lot of gratitude for that. Um,
Thank you.
is there a best experience that comes to mind in all of your experiences with NYCP?
Yeah, those board retreats we had I really enjoyed those when the board could come together and really take time to think about what we wanted and what would help our members. So I always love those. Um, the year when we made this a year and a half, 2 year, I don't know, whatever it was that we made the decision to move to a professional management um,
Yeah,
company to help us. That was it was hard to do it and to brave it and to get people on board, but to lead in on that decision, which has had a wonderful impact on the
it really
organization.
has.
Like that was really satisfying. Also, I led the board when we reduced our fees by almost half. So
I know a lot of
that was
different initiatives.
hard.
Yeah, I mean, come to think of it, you were involved with really big pivotal decisions that were very transformative for organization. And it takes a lot to be a leader to make, some decisions that weren't as popular, some
Right.
more popular or some new, and getting out of like routine. You're so fixed on doing things a certain way, and opening up the possibility of doing it in a different way could be really, it takes a good leader to kind of lead and shepherd us along the way when there's a lot of fear and uncertainty.
I have to say, if you're going to lead a group of professionals, a group of collaborative professionals is a wonderful group to lead because they're generally open-minded. They're respectful of each other. We can talk about um, have difficult conversations. We model that for our clients. And so just being okay to like step out front
Yeah,
and gather these really wonderful people to make these decisions was really an honor. So
wow.
yeah,
And just talking about the skills, our collaborative skills, our mediation skills, that could be, transferable personally, professionally, even organizationally, and with our clients. So it's just such an amazing toolkit to kind of tap into in difficult situations and to have conversations that are challenging for sure.
definitely. There were never fights or, it was, I found it was very, you
Yeah.
know, respectful conversations and we made hard decisions and we made good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And yeah, so thank you for that. And just going back to the fact that, the work that we do is really hard. It's a lot to be confronted with a trauma of going through a divorce on an, full day. You could be hearing so many different stories that could be very unsettling, and you need to be, there, and connect and be an advocate and support for your client. But at the end of the day, how do you kind of brush it off, or what do you do to kind of de-stress and keep yourself healthy physically,
yeah.
mentally? What do you do?
Yeah, so well, I don't I'm not on answering clients at night. I can say,
Boundaries.
okay, this can wait till the morning because there's rarely an emergency because our clients are not doing, horrendous things to each other, like as if we were litigating. So things can generally wait. So know that things can wait. I don't look at my phone generally. I don't even look at my emails until I've been up for at least 2 hours. So I don't like get right on
Oh,
it. So if I wake up at 5:30, I might look at my emails at 7:30. I'm going to meditate in the morning. I'm going to exercise or get ready for work if it's an early day. So I'm just like, I give myself space,
that's
not to
great.
be on all the time. If somebody needs me, I'm there, of course. Um, so that's what I do. I just started a new hobby 1 year ago. I started making collages, and I've never thought of myself as an artist. I took a class in collage and loved it. So now I'm a collage artist. And so,
Do you put it on the wall? Like, do you like
no,
frame it?
I do not. It's not for other people. It's just for me, like sitting and focusing and making
That's an,
things. I make paper. I make my own paper now.
oh
I
my
art
God.
magazines. I get all messy with paint. It's great, Melissa.
My God, that's wonderful.
I love it.
That's amazing. That just makes me so meditative to be like just focus and take you into this other artistic and be so creative. It's a great outlet. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's
Wow.
been fun. So
Wow.
between exercise, meditation, and some art, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
those are the things that keep me kind of
That's
balanced.
good. And the cooking from your great husband every
Yes,
day, giving you
and
different meals. And I know you travel a lot too. I know you like to travel as well. So that's nice. I think that's so important to have those boundaries and to have, your day off, you're off duty and to kind of take care of yourself because then if you're nothing without, you want to put your best self for your clients.
it's so true. And I work mostly 7 days a week, if not in the business, on the business, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working a lot, but to find that time when you don't have to work, when you can turn it off for just a little bit, or have those boundaries, we all have to do it. We can't be at our best if we're not.
That's so true. Do you stream anything? Do you like watch any favorite TV or theater?
Yeah, I
What do you?
mean, some of the, Black Doves recently has been great. We went to Paris last year and we're going back in May. So Emily in Paris, we're still watching that.
God, it's springtime in Paris. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Oh
yeah,
my God.
I know.
That's amazing. Okay, so
Um,
watch some films to prepare for that, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that's what's
yeah, there's
wonderful.
just so many, like we definitely watch TV, so
Yeah, yeah, watch it.
too
That's
much
a
to
nice,
talk about.
yeah, it's a nice escape for me. So just I always like to end our conversation with just, knowing where do you hope to be in 10 years and what do you hope for collaborative practice?
Let's see. So what I hope for I'll start with that. What I hope for collaborative practice is that it's as known as mediation.
Mm.
The people, one of my tips for people is, make court your last resort for your divorce. So I want that to be everyone to know that. I want everyone to know that there are options like mediation and collaborative, that they don't have to go to court. So that's what I hope for collaborative, that it just becomes mainstream and people, as we all know, people call for it now. We don't have to sell as many people on it or educate as many people. People are calling and know about this. So I want that to be more. Um, and for it to always be a full team process.
Mm.
And that if you talk about collaborative divorce, we know it means you have this a wonderful team approach. So that's what I hope for collaborative. And for myself, I'm 60, so 2 years or I'll 70, but I'm building a firm here. I have wonderful attorneys working for me. I want to keep building that. I want this to be the non-adversarial law firm in New York City, um,
Mhm.
that people know that they can come to and get a divorce that's really going to help look for their future and work for their future and never have to risk going to court. Um,
Well,
so that's what I'm looking to build here. And personally, I just became certified as a positive psychology coach.
wow.
So I've been
Well,
studying positive psychology for a long time, and I just became a coach. And so I want to start building that business as well and start coaching, not divorcing clients, more professionals and business owners and executives,
wow, that's
around
amazing.
their mindset.
Wow. Always learning, always exploring and expanding and tapping into what your passion is. That's amazing. And to lead by that.
Yep.
Well, you're way on your way. That your firm is an excellent firm, an excellent support and resource, and it has an amazing reputation of being just what you hope it to be. So you're way on the way, and you have some other attorneys in your firm, namely Marcos Fernandez, who's now the vice president of NYCP. I've worked with Marcos, and he's just tremendous. So you're really lucky, and other staff there and attorneys. So your firm has an amazing reputation and is doing good work. And so Thank you for that. And I think if people want to find you, you're out there. You definitely have a presence that's pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
so and it's the what's the address of your website? Is it the Vacca Law Firm?
Yeah,
Vacca Family?
VaccaLaw.com. And
VaccaLaw.com.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great. Great.
reach
Well,
out.
this is, yeah, definitely. So thank you, Andrea, for sharing your time with me and getting to connect